Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic, who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today, I need to make a correction to a video I did yesterday on the Joker box office. So the Joker did indeed break a huge record in the comic book movie industry because it is the most profitable movie. That is indeed true. What I was incorrect with was how the numbers themselves actually broke down. So the way in which it is the most profitable is if you take the actual budget for the film and compare it to how much it was actually made. And the multiplier, meaning how much more the money has made versus how much it cost, is how it is now the most profitable movie. So that is not just raw totals, that is not just raw amount of money that the movie actually made, as I was trying to make it out to be, because that's what I thought had happened. Turns out I was wrong. Turns out it was actually based more so on the budget, comparing the budget to the overall movie, what has actually made so far. So let's just give you an example. I mentioned Avengers Endgame yesterday. So Avengers Endgame cost $350 million to make. You compare that to the $2.7 billion that it made. You don't really get to multiply that number by as much as you do $55 million compared to, of course, the Joker's budget of $55 million, comparing that to the over $950 million it's made at this point in the worldwide box office. And so that was the difference. So again, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. As you all know, whenever I make a mistake, I do always own up to it, and I did make a mistake, so very sorry about that. And it is still true, though, that it is the most profitable comic book movie of all time. It's just based off of that specific figure. So I want to say that multiplier was around 16.3 times the budget. And no other comic book film has made that much off of their budget, or that much more times their budget than anything else except for Joker. I'm stripping over my words today, everybody, but I figured I might as well also give you a little bit of a box office update. So this is including yesterday's estimates for all the new movies coming out. And so Midway came in at number one, $6.3 million. Doctor Sleep at 5.2. Last Christmas at 4 million. Playing with Fire at 3. Terminator Dark Fate is dropping all the way down to $2.8 million. And if you look at that, you're seeing a 73% drop that is of just Friday to Friday. So just so you all know, that 73% drop is just Friday to Friday. It likely will not be that much by the end of its weekend, but if movies like Midway and Doctor Sleep and Last Christmas and Playing with Fire, all of these movies hit different markets. So Midway, to me, is going to fit more into that young adult audience, maybe even a little bit, older teenagers. Doctor Sleep is definitely going to be more so geared towards the adult range. Those that grew up on the movies like The Shining, love movies like The Shining, are interested in those types of films. Last Christmas is going to appeal, I think, more to a older audience, because as I mentioned in a previous video, to me, that film just seems like it's a Hallmark movie that's being released in theaters, which doesn't mean it's going to be bad box office-wise, but it doesn't look like it's performing nearly as much as they think, but still, a certain market for it. And then Playing with Fire is a kids' movie. So Dark Fate really doesn't have anywhere to fit into this. Now, some people might say, yeah, but look at Joker. Joker has dropped off. Well, it has, but $2.5 million after it's been out for 36 days is incredible. Keep in mind, too, that now it's dropped out of about 1,000 theaters compared to what it once was not too long ago. Within the last couple weeks, it's only at 2,800 theaters now at this point in time. When it first came out, it was in the 3,500s or so. So that is still very impressive that with that much, you see that happening. So as you can see, it's having another 34% drop. And this is, again, what's amazing about Joker, is that even it's Friday to Friday, from last Friday to this Friday, it is still only dropping around 30% every single week. I actually randomly got to see Joker again today. So my plan was to go see Dr. Sleep. Ended up buying a ticket. Somehow in my Atom Tickets app, I ended up buying a ticket for Monday instead. They still let me in. I didn't realize until after the fact that I had made the mistake, and I was like, okay, well, what else is playing there now, near this time? Oh, wait, Joker is. Well, I've been wanting to see Joker again anyway, so I ended up going and seeing the Joker again, and there were actually a few people in there. Like, even in a smaller theater, there was about 7 or 8 of us in there, which might not seem a whole lot, but for a movie that's been out for that long, for there to be that many people in there is pretty impressive. I've been into movies that have been out for a while at least this long, and usually it's one other person at most. There have been times in which theaters have been completely empty before because movies over time just don't nearly perform as well. But this is incredibly impressive for Joker to be able to do. Not so much for Terminator Dark Fate. Dark Fate just really does seem like it's going to have somewhere, if you're dropping 73% on a Friday, and some might argue saying that also includes the Thursdays and Fridays are added together for that opening weekend. You might be able to make that argument and say, well, of course it's going to come in a lot less than that. But even then, having that high of a number, and I imagine it's going to be somewhat high again today and tomorrow as well, with movies like Midway, Dr. Sleep, Last Christmas, and Playing with Fire, all new movies, all taking the top 4 spots, that to me leaves no room for movies like Dark Fate. And after 36 days, also leaving no room for movies like Joker, but that's what's supposed to happen. You know, Joker has been out for over a month now at this point in time, so for it to be bumped out by new movies, that's what naturally is supposed to happen, but really hasn't up to this point in time. Dark Fate's in its second weekend. There's no reason why Dark Fate shouldn't be in that top number, especially with the amount of money that they spent on that project, especially the amount of the budget that they had for that movie. So what we can take away from this is that Dark Fate is just plummeting at the box office and likely will be a $100 million loss or so, and that Joker is doing very well a month after its release, still making $2.5 million on a Friday. That is nothing to snuff at. You know, it had been making $1 million every single day of the week. It made an extra $1.5 million on top of that for the Friday. It probably will continue to have that type of showing this weekend. As I said before, it looks to me that you're going to see between probably $8 and $10 million for it in the domestic market, which again is very good after a month of having a release. It's not going to be enough to unfortunately get into the top 3, which is what I was hoping we would be able to do, and it might not be enough to be able to beat Dark Fate. However, with that being said, the fact that 2.5 and 2.8 million is the estimates for Friday, and one film came out 8 days ago versus the other that came out 36 days ago, to me speaks volumes. And you actually could potentially see Joker possibly get that number 5 spot and at the very least get that number 6 spot. And if that happens, that's not only a bad sign for movies like Maleficent, which has only been out for 22 days, and Dark Fate, which has been out for 8 days, but it really does go to show you that this film is going to hit the $1 billion mark at some point in time. So just for an update, these numbers are behind. So as you all know, I'm trying to find a new box office home ever since Box Office Mojo decided to go crazy and push their IMDb Pro and, take features behind a paywall. And I know that there's a group on Reddit that's trying to basically revive the old box office mojo.com. And I can't wait for that to happen. But unfortunately, this is all that we have. And numbers doesn't really update nearly as much as others do, because I know that the movie has made more than this, because there are others reporting, for example, Deadline, the film is already north of $950 million, which is why we can now say it's the most profitable film, as far as comic book films that have ever been made in history, right? With that multiplier being as high as it is. So this film is definitely on pace to reach $1 billion possibly this weekend, but it's really hard for me to say looking just at this number, because we're not really getting those foreign totals like we would be getting on other sites. But I'm trying not to give them any recognition because I don't think that they deserve it. While Dark Fate is stuck at $135 million and likely won't get that much further past $200 million if it hits $200 million, which it might. But even so, this film needs to make a good $435+ million just to break even, and I don't see that happening for this film, especially with that type of drop-off. But anyway, just wanted to correct the information that I got wrong yesterday. Joker is still doing extremely well. It is still now the most profitable, not the highest grossing, but the most profitable comic book film of all time, because it's made that much more times its budget compared to any other film. And that's still an impressive feat nonetheless. It might not be as impressive as I thought that it was, but it's definitely more impressive than anyone might think. So as you all know, we'll always correct myself when I possibly can. But what are y'all's thoughts about this? Do you think that we're going to see Midway come away with the title this weekend, Dr. Sleep? Do you think that Joker could potentially beat Dark Fate, get that number 5 spot? Even though it's number 5, that's still extremely impressive for a movie that's been out for over a month, because most films that have been out for over a month tend to not do anything at all. Abominable, for example, has been out for 43 days, has only made $88,000. Gemini Man, which was a giant bust, $110,000 being out 29 days. So Gemini Man has made significantly less money than Joker and has been out in theaters for a less amount of a time. That is incredible. That is an amazing feat. Man, Joker's so good. So glad I got to see it again. Hopefully I'll get to see Dr. Sleep tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be able to see some more movies and continue to be consistent with this as the weeks go on. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about this stuff and all the things we talked about in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a subscribe. It helps me a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.